Some people come to YouTube and social media looking to start arguments and drama. And I ran into such an individual yesterday in the comments section. Now, this black female comes to my channel and is upset because I only made one video regarding Alton Sterling and Philando Castile. And she then says to me, "Oh, you made three videos about Jesse Williams." Well, it tells me that this female just does not understand that I'm a very busy man and I just don't have time to make videos about everything. But to let people understand my process, I'm going to explain some things to you. Now, on Thursday, I had a video planned for your Alton Sterling. I had a video pretty much shot, and when I started looking at social media and looking at the facts regarding the case, I decided that that video just wasn't good enough to upload. And I told people on Facebook I had a video planned for Alton Sterling discussing this whole Alton Sterling case. Now, Thursday was the last day I was going to be able to go to the library because usually when I post videos, I don't have internet at home because I haven't been working for the last 7 years. So I have to go to a library to upload my videos and post my blogs. So in order for me to go there, I have to have my content ready before the doors of the library open around 10 o'clock here in New York City. So I have to have everything ready to go. And I had the Alton Sterling video I filmed it about 8 o'clock or so. So I didn't have time to go and make another video because I had other things to do because right now I am in the process of writing two books. One is the fictional novel Spellbound, which is the prequel of Spinsterella, and the other is a nonfiction book called Stop Simping in the Workplace. And in addition to that, I have 3 blogs I do a week. So I'm a very, very busy man. So after I do all this, I don't have time, to sit here and reshoot another film on Alton Sterling. Now, I told people on Facebook that I had a video planned on Alton Sterling. Unfortunately, the video just was not good enough. So I could not put it up on Thursday. And I said that the only time I would have to put this video up regarding the situation would be on Monday. Now, Friday, I had to go to the barber shop. My hair was a mess, and it was the only time I had on my schedule to do it. I actually had to make time because usually I get so caught up in my work, looking for work, and then working on these book promotions and auctions that I don't have time to take care of things like getting a haircut. So I took the Friday off to get a haircut. And while I was in the barber shop, I'm watching what's transpiring regarding these Dallas shootings of these police officers. And over the weekend, I sat there trying to think of a way to make a video regarding this whole situation because as I looked at the bigger picture, as I was sitting in the barbershop chair getting my hair cut, I looked at the bigger picture of this whole Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, and then the murders of these 5 police officers. And I wanted to make a video about the topic in a more comprehensive manner, which is why I made the video that I made. Because when I looked at the bigger picture of it, I looked at the whole vicious cycle that was transpiring as we speak yet again. But, most black women, because they're emotional, they don't think too well. And most black men, because they're emotional, they don't think, in a critical perspective. They don't think in a broader picture and say, look, in 2014, we had the grand jury in Ferguson not indict Officer Darren Wilson for the murder of Michael Brown. And in 2014 in December, near Black Friday, in December, because the other one happened before Black Friday, the grand jury in Ferguson. And then the grand jury here in Staten Island decided not to indict Officer Michael or Daniel Pantaleo in the death of Eric Garner. And then soon after that, we saw this lone individual who took a bus after assaulting his girlfriend, decided he's going to take a bus all the way to Philadelphia, where he shot and murdered officers Rafael Ramos and Wen Jin Liu in a attempt to avenge the deaths of Michael Brown and Eric Garner. And I looked at the pattern of events with Alton Sterling and Philando Castile, and I saw the same cycle of events transpiring yet again. And I wanted to make a video pointing that out. And I felt that video would be far more constructive to make rather than another video talking about the points of the case with your Alton Sterling and Philando Castile. I feel that if we look at the bigger picture of it, maybe we could get a little bit more understanding, because the way I saw it, things are spiraling out of control regarding race in America and police departments and police brutality. Because instead of things, cooling off and things trying to work together, we're seeing things escalate because individuals like your Mika Xavier Johnson are looking at the criminal justice system and seeing that there is no due process. And because they are angry, they are now feeling like they have to take the law into their own hands. And I wanted to present that point to people because we need to really look at the big picture of this. Things are escalating and the situation is deteriorating around us. Unfortunately, this black female pretty much wanted to see me sitting here talking about how Alton Sterling was dusty, how Alton Sterling was a minstrel, how Alton Sterling was standing outside of an Arab-owned store selling bootleg CDs, and I had videos planned like that, and I said, that's not constructive. That's not going to educate anyone. There's 4 or 5 other YouTubers who have made those exact same points, and it's not going to solve anything, nor is me talking about Philando Castile's girlfriend pretty much videotaping the death of her own boyfriend for posterity to get money in a civil lawsuit. That's not constructive for me. I would rather people look at these incidents and see them from the bigger picture so that they can really take a look at this vicious cycle of events which continues to repeat itself because both black people and white people are not looking and seeing that they are participating in a vicious cycle that is driving the country into a downward spiral. And this all relates to my theory about race and codependency. Both sides are jockeying for that victim position, thinking that being the victim is going to get them attention, when the only attention the victim gets is attention where they have no power and no control. Yes, you're getting attention, but you have no power and no control in the situation. And when you have no power and control, you have to be dictated to by others. And I look at that situation with Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, those their unfortunate deaths by the hands of police, and then the subsequent behaviors, response from black people, which is to march and protest, and then it escalating with this Mika Xavier Johnson going out and murdering those 5 cops. And again, I looked at it from that perspective and saw that vicious cycle starting all over again. Now, a lot of people don't want to look at it that way. What they really want to see is me getting all emotional and melodramatic, and I don't really want to go in that direction. I mean, I made my video because I felt it met my standard, and it talked about the points I wanted to talk about. Now, the real reason why I believe this female was upset is because I made points about your Jesse Williams she did not agree with. And sadly, maybe some of those points were making her think on a deeper level. Because when I made my arguments about Jesse Williams in those 3 videos, I was trying to present a counterpoint to everyone who was thinking that this speech was gold. Because as a guy who worked in nonprofit with these kind of guys who would sit there and they could talk a good game, but when it came time to take action, these guys are nowhere to be found. Yes, they make great speeches, but these guys are not on the ground and they're not willing to make any sacrifices. They go right back to their suburban homes, or here in New York, their homes in urban areas that are not inner city areas. They go to places like your 86th Street, your 72nd Street, and these guys go and they live their lives outside of the black community, and then they come to the black community talking about what we should do. And that was one of my major issues with your Jesse Williams. He talks a good game, like your Barack Obama, and that's just not going to cut it with me. I mean, I've heard these guys make speeches all the time, and we've heard multiple speeches over the last, 4 or 5 years since Trayvon Martin was murdered. Yet the situation continues to deteriorate. And these guys talk about what we are going to do, but when we look at the black community, we don't see these guys, you know, laying any foundation for anything. Yes, they can come out and win awards and push a white liberal agenda, but when you go to the black community, we see the situation deteriorating. When I go outside, not we, but when I go outside, I see the situation deteriorating because on that journey to that library I go to every day to upload these classic videos, guess what I see? I see 7 or 8 churches in my community, and and who do you see at the side of these guys in these speeches and stuff right now? Your local clergy, and I see a community that continues to remain poor and messed up. And I don't see any of these guys talking like Jesse Williams really focusing on constructive solutions. Yes, they can come out and make a good speech and tell people what they want to hear, but that's not helping anybody grow. People tell people what they want to hear all the time, but it doesn't help anybody grow, and it doesn't help anybody take themselves to the next level. And I believe that this female got upset because a lot of what I was saying was pretty much, it was upsetting her because it was telling the truth about this guy. She didn't want to hear the truth about this guy. I mean, me presenting things from a different perspective, makes you take that second long, hard look at this guy. And that's what she didn't like. So she comes back at me trying to say, oh, you didn't make any videos about Alton Sterling and Philando Castile, but you made 3 videos on Jesse Williams. So they're looking for some reason to start an argument. And I'm not, again, I make my videos on my standard. And if I feel the content is not up to standard, I'm not going to put it up here for everyone to view. I'm going to put my things that meet my standard. And again, if I'm gone for 5 days or 3 or 5 days, and I decide I want to make content and when it's up to my standard, it'll go up. And when it came down to this whole Alton Sterling Philando Castile, a lot of things were going on. I wanted to get the facts straight. And before I shot the frames, I wanted to make sure that I put up a very solid video on it. And I believe the video I put up met a high standard for quality, because I've had people outside of the U.S. tell me this is a really solid video. It presented the points from an intelligent perspective, and it was pretty solid for most people. They looked at that Alton Sterling and Philando Castile piece I did and said it was a solid piece. But for this female, it did not meet her standard, because she's used to these emotional guys getting angry, being explosive, being melodramatic, going over the top. And that's not going to help, solve the problem regarding race and race relations and the police department here in America. We have to look at the pattern, we have to look at the practice, and then we need to focus on solutions, because the paradigm of black men being shot by white police officers, black folks reacting by marching and protesting, is not leading to any sort of constructive solution. In the aftermath of all of these cases of Black Lives Matter, marching and protesting, we have gotten an 0 for 5 record. I mean, in the last couple of cases, you couldn't even get an indictment. That's how bad things have deteriorated. We cannot get any sort of action done, and we have to look at it from a comprehensive perspective. I mean, when I look at these cases with your Alton Sterlings and your Eric Garners, I'm looking at black men who do not have life skills. And we need to look at that situation as well, because these black men shouldn't be on the streets participating in these type of hustles. We really need to be focusing on why these men are on the street doing these things, so that they won't be on the street doing those things, so that they will be so they won't be on the street. Because if they're not standing outside of these foreign-owned stores, being dusty, then maybe they wouldn't be in the sight of police officers and they wouldn't get killed. But we're not looking at it from that perspective. We're looking at it from an emotional perspective. And when you look at it from an emotional perspective, you're not looking at it from a solutions-oriented approach. You're looking at it from, I want to get those guys. And this whole us versus them thing is really starting to really tear at the fabric of the country. And a lot of people aren't looking at that downward spiral and where it's taking us. But that's the way I see things. And when I look at this whole situation, that's what I see. But, you know, some of these people, they want drama, they want arguments, and that's not going to happen here. I do not present anything in that manner, and if you come here with that, all that's going to happen is I'm going to block you, and I'm going to delete your comments, and I'm going to move on. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.